this year took $4 million from Measure J, which I think is great. That's what it's for. $2 million for the previous fiscal year, $2 million from this fiscal year for street repairs. You'll see a lot of street repairs going on now. One thing I don't agree with, and I think most of my fellow commissioners didn't agree with, is they also borrowed $5 million on future revenues from other tax sources to add to that so they could do a big flurry of street repairs this summer. And that's the sort of thing that really bothers me about our city government is so many, and people really didn't know about it. It was sort of done very on the quiet. The city took out a $5 million bond. They're going to be paying it back at $1.1 million a year for the next 7 years. So we're paying for the next 7 years out of future tax revenues, not Measure J, but other tax revenues that come from the county, Riverside. We're going to be using those taxes, which would go into future road repairs for this summer. And that's sort of like, to me, that's sort of like, you guys are bankers, to me that's sort of like taking out a big loan on your home equity to go on a vacation for 2 weeks. Because you go on vacation now and you have a good time, but then 5 years from now you're still paying for it, or 7 years from now. So that's the sort of thing that I really, as a finance guy, I just don't agree with, and I would like to see done differently. Another issue which I want to address briefly that affects all of you as business people, that affects all of us as individuals, is our homeless situation. I mean, just this afternoon, as I was getting ready to come down here, I had several people in our campaign office. Our campaign office is on South Palm Canyon, right at the corner of Arenas in South Palm Canyon, next to Stewart Galleries, across from Johanna's. And I had a couple people in the office that were getting ready to leave, and just as they were getting ready to leave, 2 homeless people in sort of encamped right in front of our doors and put all their stuff down in front of our doors, and they started changing clothes. And my people were sort of afraid to leave until they finished this, which only took about 15 minutes, but still. And the other day I was downtown. I parked in the parking garage, so I won't get a ticket every day. And I was in the parking garage, and I walked out of there, and I saw this was very sad. It was tragic. I saw this elderly lady who was very emaciated, who appeared to be on some sort of drugs or mental illness or something, and she was naked except for a blanket that was wrapped around her, and she was walking around out in the street. These cars were on Indian Canyon. Cars were having to stop and go around her, and I called 911, and I waited for about 10 minutes, but nobody ever showed up. And all I could think of was that, you know, if I called and said there was a dog that was injured that was out in the middle of the street, they probably would have had somebody faster than what responded when I called about this. I mean, because there's 2 sides to this. I mean, one is the city of Palm Springs spends $350,000 a year for the film festival, $140,000 a year for the skate park, $650,000 a year for the swimming pool, which are all good things, and we spend $5.6 million a year for our 2 golf courses that the city owns, and we spend $1.28 million a year on the animal shelter. We spend $273,000 on the homeless. I think we really need to look at our priorities. But I really don't know how to do this because homelessness is really complicated. I volunteer at Well in the Desert, and I see these people who are not homeless, but they're one step from homeless. A lot of these people, they come at 5:30 in the morning on Saturday to get groceries. What's really sad is when you see these people line up at 5:30 in the morning to get groceries. These are people who have homes because they have to be able to cook this food. Is to see 10 and 12-year-old children in tow with their parents at 5:30 on a Saturday morning. No child should have to do that. But the Well in the Desert organizations like that are great because these are people who are maybe one broken down car away from homeless. You know, they're one rent payment away from homeless. They're one sick child away from homeless. And Well in the Desert helps these people by giving them really good quantity of good quality food that they can take home, and every dollar they don't have to spend on groceries is dollars they can spend on rent and on their children. So I think that's important. So we have people who we really need to help because they are one step from homeless. We also have people who have taken that thing has happened to them. Their child's been sick, they had big hospital bills, their car broke down, they couldn't get to work, they were laid off, they lost their job or jobs, and suddenly they become homeless. And they want help. And we've got organizations in Palm Springs, private organizations, who help these people. They give them They give them interview skills. They give them clean clothes. They give them a place to take a shower and get cleaned up. They help them try to get a job and get back on their feet. And I've met several people that have been in this situation through Well in the Desert and other organizations that have been helped. But the city of, and Roy's is really good at doing this too. Roy's, they do all what they can. Of course, their location is not good and their budget is really small, really, really small. And again, the city of Palm Springs only spends $273,000 a year on this problem. Of course, then we have the problem, the other part of homelessness, where you have people who don't want help, who are the criminal element, who that's the style they want, that's the way they want to live, and they break into people's homes, they steal for drugs or alcohol or other things. They have to be dealt with differently. You cannot deal with every homeless person the same way. However, this is a very complicated situation, and I don't know the answer to it. I really don't. I'm good at, and you guys probably are too, you probably don't know how to do everything in your business, but what you're good at as business leaders is getting people together and finding solutions to problems, not by yourself. I look at the example of the Sustainability Commission. We do a great job in Palm Springs with sustainability. Why? Because we have 18 boards and commissions in the city, like the Planning Commission, the Arts Commission, the Sustainability Commission, the SJ Commission, and they're comprised of residents, citizens like you and me, who love their city and they want to contribute to their city and they have a passion for a certain area. That Sustainability Commission, like the Human Rights Commission, has people who have a passion for this and an understanding of this. They volunteer, they're interviewed, and they become on these permanent commissions to help advise the city council and the city on how to address these problems. We keep doing these ad hoc committees on homelessness, and they last for 3 or 4 months, and then they die off and nothing happens. I mean, we talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk on the homeless situation. Homelessness is not a temporary problem. It's not a temporary challenge. It's going to be here forever. It's like sustainability. It's always going to be here. And we need to have a permanent commission who watches this on a full-time basis. We have a young woman who's really competent. Her name is Michelle Meekin, who is our sustainability person on the city staff. And her job, she's part of the city staff, her job is to look throughout the country and see how other cities do sustainability, bring that back to the Sustainability Commission, to the city manager, and to the city council, and tell them, these are some really great ideas I've seen on how to do this stuff. And she also spends a lot of time writing grant requests to the state and federal government for money on sustainability. This model is perfect, I think, for our homeless challenge, because we need somebody on the city staff, which we don't have right now, who understands and has a passion for social services and for the homeless people. Right now, our city council, and I've missed maybe 3 city council meetings in the last 3.5 years, our city councils keep saying, well, it's a county problem. It's not, we don't have a social services function in Palm Springs. It's the county. And that's not working. We need to say we have a problem here in Palm Springs and we need to address it. And we have people in Palm Springs who can address this. And one thing we really need to do is when we select people for this commission, there needs to be business people who have a challenge downtown with this situation, residents, people who have a lot of background and passion, people like Arlene Rosenthal, who have a lot of background in homeless, and also we need to recruit 1 or 2 people from the tribe to be on this commission, because the tribe, our Native American brothers and sisters in the tribal organization, they have the same problem we do. I mean, they have homeless people on their property, just like we do, and they have homeless people. They need to be a part of this. So this homeless commission is something I feel passionately about that we have to do, because we have to solve this problem, because our businesses, our safety, our reputation as a city is at stake. I had someone walk into our office last week who was from Canada. It was a couple and a couple of their children. They walked into my office and they saw, the Broad Moon for mayor and all that kind of stuff in the windows, and they walked in and they said, we're from Canada, and this is the first time we've been here, and we're not coming back. They said, we've been accosted like 3 times walking down Palm Canyon Drive, and we're not coming back. So we have to do something about this, because it's not only the people who aren't homeless that are being impacted, but we have to do something for these people who are homeless and need help. So to me, this is a passion that we have to work for. So, you know, these are just three issues that I've really thought a lot about. One is bringing businesses into our community that outside the hospitality industry, of people who make good living and who spend money and could live here and buy homes and go to your businesses and buy your products. And the other one is to help people who are less fortunate than we are, who need the help, and make sure that we don't let homelessness destroy our business community downtown. So, in closing, you said 10 minutes.
No, we got plenty.
And I want to leave some time for questions, too. In closing, I wanted to say that, you know, there's 8 people running for mayor, and there's some interesting, any of you went to the forum that was on Tuesday night, the American Legion, it was sort of interesting. But of all the people that are running, one's a lawyer, one's a doctor, one of them runs the Mizell Center, you know, everybody has a job. And I am the only person running who has said, I put a copy, this is not like, there's issues and there's a pledge of how I will actually serve people of Palm Springs. And this is the pledge that I did 3 or 4 months ago and signed and put it on my website. I have committed publicly that if I'm elected your mayor, I will have no other jobs. I will not take any consulting. I will not take any second jobs. I will not take any honorarium. I will not take any money from the film festival. I will not take money from anyone except the city of Palm Springs for the relatively small salary that the city council pays. And some people say, well, you know, being mayor is a part-time job. According to our city charter, that's true, because there's 2 different forms of city government. One is a mayor city council, which we don't have. Big cities like Chicago have that, where you have a powerful mayor like New York. One most cities our size have is what we have, which is a city manager, city council with what's called a weak mayor, which is great for us, because what this means is we have a full-time, very educated, experienced city manager who does the day-to-day operations of the city. But like Dr. Reddy, his focus is the trash being picked up, or, you know, is all the day-to-day myriad of functions the city needs to run being done. However, he is not elected. The people of Palm Springs elect the city council to represent them, like your representative in Congress. And what I want to do is spend all of my time representing not just a few big developers and rich business people. You know, there's more to Palm Springs than Palm Canyon. I really want to represent all 45,000 people who live in Palm Springs, that are residents of Palm Springs. I'm the only one who's committed that they will be available every day, 365 days a year. I live in Palm Springs. I don't have a second home. I will admit, in the summer, sometimes I have to get my tent and my little Coleman stove, and I go up to Idlewild for 2 or 3 nights and camp. But that's the limit of it. I live in Palm Springs every day, every month.